I cannot do this because, I cannot do this because. It feels like I'm making a huge mistake moving to LA for Josh because he doesn't have time for me.
Natalie has lost it again. The apartment and the car weren't enough. The job opportunity and the audition also weren't enough. So what will it take for Natalie to be happy? Realistically, can anyone ever make her happy?
And it's hard because I'm sorry. I mean, I'm down.
You can just smell the actress on her. Now, before we get to the potential end of Josh and Natalie, let's just start at the beginning. So, the last we saw the pair, their relationship was already on unsteady ground. You see, Josh's friends had planted seeds of doubt in his mind that Natalie might not be with him for the right reasons. But when we join them in this episode with Josh out of town, Natalie and her mum have come out to celebrate Halloween to try and cheer themselves up.
Halloween wasn't a sin in Ukraine. We have a tradition when we sit in a cemetery and remember dead people, but it's not really Halloween.
If I saw Natalie in a graveyard on Halloween, I'd definitely have a heart attack. She and her mum have come to Halloween Fest to experience the American holiday, and being surrounded by kids is making Natalie's mum, yes, her mum, broody again.
Так что в следующий раз мы придем на этот праздник с детками. Скорее бы у тебя были, Наташка, дети, и ходили бы уже с детьми на этот праздник.
Now, Natalie's face says that she's already heard this 1,000 times before, but let's not forget, Natalie also has big dreams of being a movie star, so it's difficult to see how she's going to fit this all in her timeline. And despite not approving of Josh, Natalie's mum tries to be encouraging. She tells Natalie that hopefully she and Josh will soon start their own family. But no sooner does she say this than it becomes evident that something isn't right with Natalie.
Josh is spending Halloween with his kids. His kids live in Arizona, and he's in Arizona, I should be there.
Right. So Josh has taken a step back in this relationship in order to prioritise his kids. You know, like a good dad would do. But Natalie explains that she's pissed off because he didn't invite her with him. But the thing is, Natalie, how do you not understand that it's a big deal to introduce a new partner to your kids? That's not something a parent wants to do until they're 100% sure. And let's be frank, she's given him a lot to be unsure about.
It makes me feel he's hiding me. And for some reason, lately, he doesn't want to hang out together like normally.
For once, maybe Natalie isn't being paranoid or crazy. I know, it takes some believing, but bear with me here. You see, I suspect that Josh has probably been making active efforts to distance himself from Natalie, especially after his friends suggested that she was using him.
Moved her out here. Apartment, car, money, job interviews through the fam, and the entertainment side of helping her get into that world.
Look, when it comes to Natalie, Josh clearly seems to have blinders on. Despite everything he's done for her and nothing ever being enough, Josh continues to come swinging back round. He's already confessed that he's attracted to complicated women, and this complicated woman is about to admit to her mum that not all is good.
Мы с ним год встречаемся. Не знаю, пока непонятно. Да, у него есть квартира, да, он не позвал меня туда жить.
Wait. So Josh and Natalie have been together for a year, yet Natalie has never even seen his apartment. Wow, no wonder she feels like he's hiding her. He is. Natalie's being kept at arm's length from Josh's day-to-day life. And Natalie's mum isn't happy about that. If they were in Ukraine, she says, things would be very different.
Не знакомит с детьми, с мамой. Значит, Наташ, я вообще не понимаю, зачем мужчина, который не хочет жениться, не хочет семью. Я хочу внуков, хочу, чтобы у тебя была семья, муж.
Hey, newsflash, Natalie's mum. The very reason Natalie's dating Josh is because she's getting a ton of free shit. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. She's clearly using him as a leg up, as a way to break into a difficult to get into industry. But even with that all being said, I do take Natalie's mum's point. It's becoming very apparent why Natalie's the way she is, isn't it? The thing is, Natalie's mum's perspective isn't uncommon, but she just can't understand why Josh hasn't made moves to solidify his relationship with Natalie. Why isn't he being more serious, more open about his intentions with her?
Так же твой, допустим, первый муж. Он позвал тебя сразу к себе, чтобы ты переехала. Подарил тебе кольцо. Так было, так было. Сделал невестой.
Isn't it funny how Natalie's mum is a huge fan of most of Natalie's ex-husbands, but she can't muster up any love for Josh? But in bringing up the topic of Natalie's first husband, we actually learn a lot about Natalie's past. You see, she was only 22 when she got married the first time, and from what we're told, her first husband seems to have been a case of the right man at the wrong time.
He was very educated, nice, polite, never fight, always smooth. I was the one who's like sparkle.
Now that Natalie's 38 years old, I wonder if she regrets throwing away a marriage she was actually happy in just to chase that sparkle. It definitely feels like there's a lot of sadness and regret in her eyes. So the question remains, if Josh was serious about a future with Natalie, surely by this point he would have started to try and integrate her into his family, right?
Ну, Джордж плохой, я считаю, что это не солидно. Я считаю, что надо кого-то другого, наверное. Более солидного, более достойного, более надежного.
Natalie's mum is being harsh, but she's right. Natalie's nuts, right? Even her mum knows it. But what Natalie needs is someone who accepts her quirks and someone who wants to lock down with her ASAP. Josh might find her quirks endearing, but it's obvious he's not ready for commitment. Now, maybe he's a slow mover. Or maybe Natalie's behaviour is just too crazy for him to fully commit.
My mom seen me going to 3 marriages that didn't work out. Every time she was expecting a grandchild, but only what she got is divorce.
We've seen numerous times just how big a deal kids is for Natalie and her mum. It's a big void in her life. It's clearly something that she wants, desperately wants. But the reality is, now at the age of 38, her biological clock is something she definitely needs to take into account. So perhaps that might explain the reason why she feels this pressure, the need to rush things in a relationship with Josh that clearly isn't quite right.
In previous relationship, I would have been married by now. I told him when I moved to LA, there are no excuses. We're in the same city.
Yes, but those previous relationships didn't exactly work out, did they, Natalie? Maybe now's as good a time as any to take the slow and steady approach. But it's at this point that we leave Natalie and her mum. And when we rejoin them, clearly some time has passed because it's now closer to Christmas. And since we last saw her, I think Natalie's mum may have been stirring Natalie up into a frenzy. You see, Natalie is now talking about her relationship with Josh as though it's something that's disposable.
Whatever he tells me is totally bull. It was like Josh has been leading me on for 1 year of my life.
I'm not exactly sure how Natalie has come to this conclusion, but she's clearly showing her cards here. Look, I think we can all see that quite aside from moving state, having a new apartment, having a new car and anything else that Josh has given her, Natalie has a lot to show for a 1-year relationship with Josh. It can hardly be called a waste of time. In fact, if her end goal is marriage without any of the hard work along the way, then I'd say she's the one wasting Josh's time.
I don't know what I'm waiting for here. My mom gives me a hard time. She keeps asking me, where is Josh?
What are you waiting for, Natalie? Because no one has a gun to your head. You can do whatever you want, but don't forget, Natalie's dependent on Josh. She can't seem to do much without him.
Your phone is going off 10 times because she needed you to find her a ride somewhere.
Right.
It's like, come on.
So did Natalie move to LA specifically to marry Josh? Or did she move to LA to build a life for herself and try and start a career as an actress? Let's not forget, that's also something she needs Josh's help with. For someone who isn't really even bringing that much into the relationship, Natalie sure does expect the world from Josh.
He didn't spend Halloween with me, and now he's not gonna spend Christmas with me. I feel like when it comes to family holidays, I'm not included.
Once again, just like Halloween, Josh has chosen to prioritise his kids above his turbulent relationship. The same reasoning applies. He doesn't want to introduce Natalie to his kids if he's not 100% sure about her. But the question is, why isn't he 100% sure? They have been together for over a year. Like, is he embarrassed by her? Does he just not see their relationship as all that serious? Well, Natalie tells us she's even offered to pay for her own ticket to Arizona so that she could be with his family. But Josh has turned her down.
He said, you just can't come because you don't know my daughter. I think it's an excuse. If guy wants me in his life, he looks for solutions.
For Josh, this isn't about money. It's not about buying her own ticket. Look, if Josh had wanted to, he would have already made the effort to introduce Natalie to his daughter. But he hasn't, and that says a lot. Instead of taking the steps to integrate her into his family and make their relationship serious, he's choosing to keep Natalie at arm's length. And that's driving Natalie absolutely crazy. And what with her dark eyeliner and her crazy eyes, that whole crazy look is something that Natalie does frighteningly well.
I cannot do this because, I cannot do this because it feels like I'm making a huge mistake moving to LA for Josh because he doesn't have time for me.
So Natalie did move to LA just for Josh. If she really did tell him she expected to be married to him before moving like she claims she did, then Josh really does have some explaining to do. Now, whether he chose not to hear her, or maybe he changed his mind after being with Natalie in person, he does at the very least owe Natalie an explanation.
And it's hard because I'm sorry. I'm done.
And cut. Maybe Natalie really does have a career in the movies, because that was emotional. Now, Natalie's saying that she's done, but I'm not sure I believe her. The truth is, she has a lot more to lose by ending this relationship than Josh does. Speaking of Josh, Natalie and Josh actually have plans to meet later that afternoon, and we join him in a reflective mood over some chips, dip, and what looks like a very, very flat beer.
I have been the rescuer in past relationships, and they want to make sure that, just making sure that I'm not getting taken advantage of.
Wait, tell me you saw that. Tell me you saw Josh take a bite out of a dry chip and then put it back on the plate. This is proof. This is evidence that Josh isn't a perfect man. He too is a bit of a weirdo. There's a reason he's with Natalie, and it's not just because of his saviour complex.
I'm in my feelings. I'm just, I'm unsure of the future.
Josh is in his feelings. He's worried he's being taken advantage of, and from the looks of things, he just might be. But we have to question, is it really Natalie's fault that he's willing to do all of this for her? Well, from the look of his beer, I think it's safe to say Natalie's left him waiting for her for a good while already. And when she does eventually pop up and grace him with her presence, she is not in a happy mood.
Hello? Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. You see, Natalie, armed with the darkest eyeliner known to man and the fury of her Ukrainian mother, is not gonna let Josh off the hook today. But while I can't imagine Natalie actually ending this relationship, will her insistence on marriage be a step too far for Josh? Will that be the straw that breaks the camel's back?